Shalom Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Ben-Nun Institute of Biblical Research. And friends, I'm going to be sharing with you something that is, well, it's different. It is very much different. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Genesis chapter 3. And this is where it speaks about Adam, where God took him from the dust of the earth and he would return him to the dust of the earth. And what kind of sparked this was I was looking at RT News, and I saw on RT News this one lady, she was reciting poetry, and she mentioned in her poetry, from dust you are to dust you return, is not really what God meant by the fact that we would be killing one another on this earth. And so that did catch my attention. And then I seen another program, and it kind of implied the same type of thing, that man came from the dust of the earth, and of course man would return back to the dust of the earth. Well, that really kind of piqued my interest, because even though in the RT part that I saw, I was thinking about this, and I thought that when they said that this was not really God's intent for us to all die on this earth, pretty much the gist of it, I couldn't help but think if there's not more of a prophetic overtone to this, because after all, God does say that he created Adam from the dust of the earth. And we know his very name, Adam, comes from Adamah, the ground itself, the very clay in which God formed together. And he breathed in the nostrils, and that's important to keep in mind too. He breathed into his nose the very breath of life, and his life in a plural form. We get down here to verse 17, though. God says, and to Adam he said, because you have listened or heard the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In toil shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field, and in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and into dust shalt thou return. Now, I have to just say something though, and I'm going to bring this up on the King James Version side as well of this, because as I begin to look at this, mainly for the sake of, okay, from dust we were taken, into dust we return, I wanted to look at this a little deeper in the Hebraic language. So I want to take you over here to the King James side of this, just so you can see the wording of King James as well. It says, and to the woman he said, and to Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. Now we'll back up just for a moment, because if I'm going to share something with you, I might as well go ahead and go back far enough to deal with the issue on women as well. Unto the woman he said, verse 16, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now that is very much an incorrect translation. I have to just tell you straight up, and I know this doesn't go over very well with a lot of men that try to keep women under the thumb. And listen, brothers, I just have to tell you, we have to be honest. We have to look at this from the truth of what the Word of God actually says. So I'll quickly just deal with this as well. It says, El Ha'ishar Omar Harabe Araba. Okay, that is, God is saying here, and to the woman he says, the one that was lying in wait, that's the one that will cause a great pain and a sorrow. And of course, that pain and sorrow is more of what she's about to go through, because God prophesies to her and says, Be'etzav teladai banim, you shall birth sons, vel ishach, and to your husband, to shutecha, you will turn to him. All right, and he vehu imashal becha, and he will rule over you. Now, to me, it seems like that there is a loss of the direct relationship between God and man at this time, and between the woman in this case here, and her husband being the stronger vessel, so to speak. She turns to him maybe for protection. She had been depending on God to protect her the entire time. And this one that lies in wait is the one that has caused all these problems for her. And as a result, she turns to her husband for protection. And it doesn't work out. And then he says to Adam, Ula Adam Amar ki shema'at lakol ishtecha, because you, to the man he says, you've listened to the voice of your wife, and you ate from the min ha'etz, from the tree, ashad, which I commanded you, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Then he goes on, he says, cursed is the ground. Arua ha'adama. All right? And he says, for thy sake, and toil shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Okay? Tu'ochalana kol yamei chayach. Now, this is where it gets interesting. And I want to say this clearly. I'm taking this as a conjecture. I cannot say emphatically that this is truly the literal translation of the, well, I can say as far as literal translation, sure, I can translate it literally, but there's something maybe hidden here that we've overlooked. And so I wanted to share this insight with you as friends, just for consideration. And again, it's a consideration because I'm beginning to wonder if verse 18 isn't prophetic. If it's not a prophecy, and this is, like I said, it's a little bit odd to bring this out, but I'm going to share with you why. When we read here, thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. All right? Now, let's back up just for a moment. In the Hebrew language, and maybe I should highlight this for you so you can see this where I'm going to go here. All right, here's your two words there for thorns and thistles. All right, bekotz, vedardar. All right, now literally the vav on both sides here is the word and. All right, it says over here thorns also and thistles, but the problem is it's not kotzim, it's not thorns plural. And that's what I caught. That's the first thing that caught my attention. I mainly was more interested in the Adama, or the I believe it's Afar, where they return from dust. Taking them from the dust. Right here. Ki Afar ata, because dust, you are dust. Ve'el Afar tashuv, okay? And dust you shall return to the dust. And that's what I was really interested in, is this part right down here. Ki afar atar ve'el afar tashuv. All right, you were dust, you're going to return to dust. And I was thinking of this more as a prophetic sense here. Naturally, we know that Adam died, he went back to the dust. Each one of us, we are born in this world, we die, we go back to the dust. And I'm thinking about how that man is bent on self-destruction. Could there be an implication with this as a prophecy of sorts? This is really where I was looking at. But then this caught my attention here. Bekutz vedardar. Okay? It literally says, and thorn and thistle. No plurals, only singular. Shall it bring, now they put on here, shall it bring forth to you? Doesn't say it that way, no. Bekutz vedardar, and thorn and thistle, semech lecha. All right? Semach. Okay? Semach is the word right there in Hebrew. And I want to just share with you what semach is. Let's go over here to Isaiah chapter 4, verse 2. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be a beautiful and glorious, and the what? Fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. All right? In that day shall the branch, let's look at this in Hebrew so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, now don't look, they translated differently over here, and I don't want you to be confused. Beyom hahu ihayetzemach Yehovah. Okay? In the day, all right, this is the word for hahu is for, you can say that, or in this day. Beyom, in this day, beyom hahu, ihaye, it will be tzemach Yehovah, the righteous branch, or not the righteous branch, yeah, you can say the righteous branch, but it's not righteous, it's the branch, it's just branch here. It will be a branch of the Lord. Now the branch also is a shoot. It is a word for a sprout. Literally, semach means to sprout. All right, and we know the scripture of the righteous branch or the righteous shoot or offspring, which is Christ. Okay, so in this day, it will be a branch of the Lord. All right. Beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. Now you might say, Steve, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't get this. Let's back up and look at it again. Don't look at this as plural. It's not. It's not thorns. It's and thorn and thistle. Semach. Okay? Semach lecha. All right? A thorn, a thistle, a sprout to you. Ve'ochelta, all right, and you will eat it as a sav hasadea, the herb of the field, or the esav is the young sprouts of the field. I'm wondering if we don't have hidden here, all right, see, you have to understand, the ground is cursed because of his sake for what he did, but a thorn and a thistle is going to come forth. All right, now keep it in mind, picture it for a moment. Did not Christ wear that crown of thorns? Did not God appear to Moses at the what? The thorn bush, the Eighth Sinai, the thorn bush. Here we have again a thorn and a thistle. A thorn and a thistle will sprout to you. Semech lecha, to you. A thorn and a thistle will sprout to you. Moses was where God first brought forth the command of God. Right? Yeshua was crowned with the thorns. And what was Yeshua? He was Semach. All right? Now, I think, let me just pull over here. I was looking at the different scriptures on this, and I know that we have others as well. Here we go, the righteous branch, Jeremiah 23:5. So I'll come back over here so we can pull this up a little easier. All right, because it's such a beautiful prophecy right here. Jeremiah 23. All right. Pull this up. I didn't quite get everything. I was kind of excited about this, so I didn't get everything all together as fast as I should have. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed. Neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise up unto David a righteous branch. And a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. All right, a righteous branch. That's Christ. Now, here we have, all right, now notice here, semach, just the root of the word, it will be a branch of the Lord. In that day, that's also speaking of the coming of the Messiah. And we come back over here to Genesis, what do we have? Tatzameach, all right, will be for you, that branch, but it's interesting that little shoot of a branch appears to be coming from the thorns themselves. All right? It says, and a thorn and a thistle, all right, to you shall be a shoot. It's actually a sprout. The thorn and the thistle himself is what's bringing forth this sprout. And that sprout you will eat. The esav, that's the little shoots that's coming from it, of the field. Now here's what's interesting. It doesn't just end there. And like I said, just, pray about it. This is a conjecture. I can't say that this is perfectly exactly right. I'm just not taking it because it doesn't seem to make sense. If you just say, thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. Okay, the ground is cursed, yes. But out of the curse has to come Christ. It has to come the semach. And the semach is right here. All right? So Christ is already here. Christ is going to come forth, and you're going to eat of the semach, of that righteous branch. Now watch this. This is what's interesting too. Be'tzeat aficha tu'ochel lechem. All right? Now they put on there, the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread. Literally, though, aficha is the oozing of, in the oozing of your nose, you will eat bread. Okay? Ad shuvcha el ha'adama. Okay? Until you return to the ground, ki mimena. Okay, because from this, lekachta, all right, you were taken, ki afar atar, ve'el afar tashuv. It's almost, to me, it's almost like it's a prophecy of Christ as well. Adam was taken from this ground, but then also he would come back like a thorn, but as a thorn that is a righteous branch, or in this case here, the shoot would come to you and the people would eat of this, but he is the one that also returns to the dust of the earth. So, it's just interesting, guys, and like I said, mankind is the one that returns to dust, all right? But in this case here, Christ also came and died. He returned back to the earth, but then he resurrected. And in his resurrection, what was he able to do? And this is why I find that one part here interesting. Bezeat aficha. Okay? You have to understand. Right here, the word af is nose. God had just earlier breathed into Adam's nose, this clay figure, Adamat, he breathed into his nose the breath of life. Now through the toiling and the sweat, it's coming from his nose. All right? And he's eating of the bread. Now the bread also represents Christ too. Because he says, I am the bread of life. Okay? So it's just interesting. And all right, maybe it literally is the ground is cursed and all you're going to get is a bunch of briars out of it. But why then? You tell me why. This is what gets me then. If that's the case, why did they translate this thorns plural when, if it's going to be plural, it'd have to have the yod mem with it as well. Vekotzim. All right? Then you could say, and thorns and also thistles. All right? It's not there. They're assuming, when they made the translation, they're assuming that it should be there when it's not there. And when I begin to look at this and I see samecha, tatsamech lecha, and I see that branch, in other words, from that thorn. And Christ was in what? The midst of the thorn bush. God spoke to Moses from the thorn bush. And then we find out all the prophecies about Semach, Like in the case here, in the day that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious. Notice so, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent. That's what gets me too. Notice that, the fruit of the earth. He mentions the branch or the sprout. The fruit of the earth shall be excellent, right? What does it say in Genesis? All right. The thorn and the thistle shall it bring forth to thee, they put on there actually. But it's actually a thorn and a thistle, a branch to you, or a sprout to you. And you will eat of the esav, the herbs, or the little herb, literally, esav is the sprouts, like a plural form, of the field. So, Christ as the semach, the righteous branch, we would read, as we see over here in Jeremiah, refers to him as the righteous branch. All right, David, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise up unto David a righteous branch, or a sprout. All right, and that branch turns into being a fruitful field. And this is exactly what we see in Genesis. That through these thorns and this thistle comes a branch to them. And they are to eat those sprouts that are of the field there. I don't know. It's like I said, conjecture. I just wanted to share that with you guys. And again, I'm not making this a doctrine by no means. So please don't start making a bunch of crazy comments and, oh my gosh, you went off the deep end. No, it's just a thought. And I think it's an interesting thought. And maybe it's something we've overlooked. So, but at any rate, we do know we did come from the dust of the earth, the afar, and we do return to the dust of the earth. That's one thing that's going to happen. And the rate way man's going right now, that may be sooner than later. I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News, well, not Israeli News Live, Ben-Nun Institute of Biblical Research. Thank you for watching. If the program's a blessing to you, please consider supporting this program. We appreciate it. You can visit our website, and that is IsraeliNewsLive.org. And you can contribute there. As well, at the end of the broadcast, right there on the bottom of the screen, you'll see our mailing address. You can help support us by mail as well. Or visit our other site, patreon.com/Israeli News Live. You can also give there if it makes it easier for you there. And you can it'll allow you to give small amounts on a monthly basis. Blessings to you and shalom.